There's a piece in the New York Times today that really disturbs me. You know, they say, what's the old saying? There are lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics. And the article is about some research that a researcher did on police officers' interactions with black people. And interestingly, the fellow who's doing the research, Mr. Fryer, is African American himself. In fact, he's the youngest African American to receive tenure at Harvard. I should call him Dr. Fryer. Roland G. Fryer did the study. And what he found was that police officers are more, and by the way, this is like, you know, at the top of Drudge, right? Of course. Police officers are more likely to use their hands with blacks than with whites in similar situations. They're more likely to push black people into the wall than white people. They're more likely to use handcuffs. They're more likely to draw their weapons. They're more likely to push people to the ground. They're more likely to point their weapons, and they're more likely to use the pepper spray or baton, by percentages ranging from 17 to 25% more likely. But when it came to shooting people dead, the police officers were just as likely to kill white people as black people, according to this study in the New York Times that's published in the New York Times. The study isn't published in the New York Times, but an article about the study by Kwok Trung Bui and Amanda Cox is published in the New York Times. And what troubles me about this is that this fellow really just looked at the study examined more than 1,000 shootings in 10 major police departments in Texas, Florida, and California. The guy's a professor of economics at Harvard. And I applaud his effort to try to come up with some reasonable data here to find out what's going on. But Ferguson is not a major police department, as one of the comments in the New York Times noted today. Baton Rouge is not a major police department. Cleveland is not a major police department. St. Anthony's PD in Minnesota is not a major police department. So why were we not able, and you would expect major police departments, with arguably the exceptions of Chicago and New York, it seems, to have, you know, really good professional, higher professional standards for their officers than suburban police departments that might just be hiring at you know, low wages, and you know, they're having to basically harass the poor and particularly minority people in their communities in order to pay for their existence. I mean, Ferguson, case in point. So why was he not able to look at all police departments in the United States, or all shootings by police in the United States? I'm guessing the reason has something to do with Congressman Jay Dickey and his efforts back in 1996 on behalf of the National Rifle Association. Efforts, by the way, that he has since repudiated. Walter Hickey wrote this piece for Business Insider back in January of 2013. This is not new. And again, this is 3.5 years ago. More than 100 scientists from universities in the United States lobbied Vice President Joe Biden, asking him to allow the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to once again fund research into the public health impact of guns. The CDC is not, Walter Hickey wrote, is not allowed to pursue many kinds of gun research due to the lobbying strength of the National Rifle Association. And here's the backstory to this. He says, prior to 1996, the CDC conducted research into the causes of firearm-related deaths. Now, this isn't specific to police. This is just guns in general. After a series of articles finding that increased prevalence of guns led to increased incidents of gun violence, gee, what a surprise, Republicans sought to remove all federal funding for research into gun deaths. There's that Republican thing again. In 1996, Republican Representative Jay Dickey removed $2.6 million from the CDC budget, the precise amount the CDC spent on gun research the previous year, 1995. The current law now reads, none of the funds made available for injury prevention and control at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention may be used to advocate or promote gun control. So nobody's doing the research because they all know that the results of the research are going to show more guns, more deaths, which is, quote, promoting gun control. So, respectfully, I think this study that's on the front page of the New York Times and that is being waved high to the heavens on right-wing sites all over the internet. Not surprisingly, given this situation, is a classic case of garbage in, garbage out. If your statistics, it's suffering from terrible sample bias. If you're only looking at 10 major police departments, you're not going to find out what's going on in small police departments. You're not going to find out what's going on in suburban police departments. In fact, it seems that some of the biggest problems that we've had with police shootings of minorities have been in the suburban police departments around big cities, particularly in suburban police departments where you've got a fairly substantial white population and an African-American population. And the police seem to see their job as protecting the white people from the black people. So, this just as a very straightforward starting point. But anyway, it's anything goes summer, and anything you want to talk about is fine. But I wanted to start with that. I just want to knock that down before it goes any farther, because this thing is going to go totally viral. Right? All the right-wing sites are pushing it. Fox is all over it. Like I said, it's at the top of Drudge. Police not more likely to kill black people than white people. Meanwhile, the mayor of Dallas, Mike Rawlings, who was standing next to the governor, Greg Abbott, a photographer over at Democratic Underground, posts this. It says, Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings stood next to Texas Governor Greg Abbott and dropped an extremely uncomfortable reality check. Open carry, the movement pushed with near fanatical obsession by Republicans in Texas, not only did nothing to help stop the mass shooting of police officers in Dallas, but it actually made the situation far worse. The police, they were being shot at. They didn't know from where. And here's a whole bunch of white guys wearing, camouflage and bulletproof vests and carrying AR-15s. And you're being shot at. And you're a police officer. What do you do? What do you think? It's amazing to me that more of those people didn't, that none of those people got shot themselves. But in any case, that's like, a starting point. Philando Castile, by the way, stopped by the police 52 times, driving while black. We'll be back.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.